The process that a lot of high growth firms follow to be able to win clients is asking the prospect for their financial information. And what your stake will really help with is all the brokerage statements to help you do the investment analysis. So what you're able to do is if a client sends you their brokerage statements, you can click to upload a PDF. I'll go to our sample statements and I'll click account statement 1 to upload. So while we're waiting for this to upload, I'll just show you what that statement looks like. What our system will be able to pull out is the investment description, the symbol, the quantity, the market value. This particular statement does not have cost basis, but if cost basis was included on the statement, that is something that our system would pull out and extract as well. This process is something that works with brokerage statements for any brokerage. And then from here, what you can do is you can automatically, in less than a minute, click to download this information into spreadsheet form. So here we can see again the symbol, the name, the quantity. Cost basis is empty because there's nothing on the statement, but it would be there if there was cost basis on the statement. Market value, expense ratio, the security type, and the account. If this was a consolidated statement, you'd be able to see multiple accounts as different line items and just have the tickers organized by their account. So that kind of is a product all on its own, right? In 45 seconds, we click to upload a PDF. We extracted all the information. The next thing that you can do is run a comparison of the statement or multiple statements against any benchmark. So by default, this is the S&P, but you can create a benchmark, or we can click in here and search for a benchmark that's already been created, or we can search for one of your portfolios. So for example, my sample values line portfolio, you can just compare to your model. But for now, I'll keep it simple with S&P. And then you can run a comparison. You can also run a comparison from, so this will show you the traditional analytics, but you can also do a risk comparison and a values comparison. And in order to launch those, what you can do is take the risk tolerance questionnaire that we have, or if you already have a risk tolerance questionnaire solution, you can just select a risk level manually. So you can select aggressive, or we can do the risk tolerance questionnaire. I think for now, what I'll do is select an aggressive portfolio, but I'll show you, we have our methodology that's actually linked right from the page of how someone can take the risk tolerance questionnaire. What is your primary financial goal? When it comes to investing, how would you describe yourself? When will you withdraw money from your investments? So it's very simple, only 8 questions, standard questionnaire. And then you can see the full transparency on exactly how we're doing the scoring. So some advisors are deciding that they're using the risk questionnaire, others are just selecting a level manually. And then you can also select optionally risk and also values. This is something that you can run an analysis side by side of this statement versus either the benchmark or your portfolio, again, on risk alignment, values alignment, and other factors. So I'll click to run analytics now. Excellent. So we can see that this portfolio, this account statement it's a $27,000 portfolio. If we click on holdings, we're seeing the same information that was downloaded in that spreadsheet. And we can notice right off the bat, cash has a $16,000 or there's $16,000 in cash out of the $27,000 portfolio. So we shouldn't be surprised that the risk level of this particular statement is very conservative. You can then see the client risk score, which can come directly from, again, the risk tolerance questionnaire that we have, or you can set it manually by just selecting a risk level. And you're able to see that in this case, the S&P 500 is much more aligned with the client's risk score compared to their existing portfolio. And this is something that from a growth perspective, a lot of times the reason why a client might want to work with you from an AUM perspective is that their portfolio right now does not align with their risk level, and showing them what the difference looks like and how you can put them into alignment with what they need can be a really compelling case that you can make. These are some big talking points that you can use in that meeting with your prospect to be able to describe how you can help them better align their investments with their financial goals. And a lot of times, instead of using the S&P 500, you'd have existing portfolio and then your proposed portfolio. So you can load up all of your models into your stake to be able to do that. Next, we have values alignment. Again, this is totally optional. The very simple thing is you can just see that the purple bar is way higher than the blue bar. So the proposed portfolio is again, or the benchmark is way higher on values alignment compared to the existing portfolio. You can see that military weapons is really dragging you down. If you want more details and information, you can click to launch the full values report. This has full details on exactly why your values alignment looks like this, and you can see all the data on what that looks like. Next, we have equity sector breakdown, asset class breakdown, trailing returns, trailing volatility, fees from fund expenses, market cap breakdown, holdings concentration, and geography breakdown. So for all of these, if you want to know, for example, where the GE exposure is coming from within this portfolio, you can click on it and see that it's held directly. There's $791 held directly. And you can also see that it's a component of these funds within the portfolio to be able to see where that GE exposure is coming from. You can do the same thing for any of the other metrics. So if we want to see, for example, where's the real estate exposure coming from, you can click in and see where that's happening within the funds in the portfolio. The other thing that you should notice is there's an AI generated explanation and talking points that you can use to help highlight what are the major differences that you should focus on. So industrials and real estate are two sectors that have a pretty substantial difference. The other ones are more similar. And the S&P has more information technology exposure. And for any of these tabs, we can actually ask a question. So I mentioned before that a lot of times what people might do is, why is the performance of my portfolio or the existing portfolio lower than the benchmark? So we can ask, why does account statement underperform the S&P? And we'll actually get a response from the artificial intelligence system that will be able to explain things to you. It has weird formatting while it's still typing, and then it formats at the end. But what this is doing is avoiding a lot of the problems that I talked about from a compliance perspective. Because if you were to ask this question to something like a ChatGPT is prone to make up numbers. So it could make things up. It could tell you this US stocks, it might say it's 52% or something like that. We are avoiding that by passing all of the real factual information from our own analytics into the chat. So that 5.24% bonds, that's not something that the AI is coming up with on its own. We give it that information from these tabs, and then what it's able to do is take the real live information from the analytics that's deterministic, and then contextualize that in natural language. So you can have a conversation with it about all this information, and you know that it's getting the right information because it's all deterministic information that we're pulling in from our own analytics and our own database that we're running. The last thing that I'd love to show is the ability to export a presentation. So what we can do is click to generate a presentation. And I have LibreOffice, so the formatting is a little weird, but it gives you a PowerPoint with your logo, any disclosures that you want, and all of the slides, and then methodologies at the end. So we have some advisors that are just using this and sharing with clients directly, but you can also, for example, take this fee chart and you can just copy and paste that fee chart and put it into a different presentation that you have. So that's something that a lot of people are doing. The PowerPoint format gives a lot of flexibility there to be able to take this and see the 20-year savings or the 20-year difference in the portfolio. So that is really the big flow of Advisor Core. Is you have prospect with a statement or a set of statements, you upload them, and you automatically get the holdings in a spreadsheet form. Next, you can run analytics, see talking points, and ask questions on all of these different issue areas. And last, you can generate a PowerPoint presentation with all of the information to be able to share with a client. And one really cool thing too, let's say you don't want to have this conversation focused on returns. You think that's a distraction or whatever it might be. You can actually decide not to include any of these slides in the presentation that gets downloaded. The last thing that I'll say is I always love talking a little bit about our roadmap. So what you see here is a way to be able to take an existing portfolio and compare your prospect statement to a benchmark or to one of your portfolios. Very soon, we're adding in a way for you to be able to find your best fit portfolio automatically based on the client's risk level, or even construct a new portfolio as well to be able to meet their goals.